4, 3, and we are live. Guys, I can't tell you how excited I am about this. To have two of the best co-anglers I know on my show. I have none other than dual Realis Pro, Gary Haraguchi, and my good old buddy Rob and Vector Hooks Pro, Rob Welsh. How you doing tonight, guys?
Awesome. Thanks for having
me. One thing I'd like to do on this show is to show guys what it takes. What do you need to do to get to the next level? On the first, I don't even know how to explain this. The thoughts are coming so fast. My first experience with pro tournaments was I got a big boat, so I'm going to start fishing. I've been guiding for 17 years. I'm going to start fishing pro bass tournaments. I've fished a BFL and got what I deserved. That's the best way to put it without swearing. I didn't know how to fish a tournament. I knew how to catch fish, but it's different.
Yep.
It's different. Gary, would you like to address that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's when you're fishing tournaments and the people are so good nowadays, it's every fish counts, and people don't realize how much just one fish makes a difference in your day, in your year. Yeah, I mean, it's really is. So you got to bring your A game, and you got to be on top of it. And just like I said, with the way all the guys and gals are this now, you can't afford to mess up and still do good.
Rob, what would you like to say?
Yeah, kind of same way. I mean, seems like if you look at some birds or something, you get a bite, just that little bit could have got you a check. I mean, it's a game in ounces.
Yeah,
you got to be it's more of a mental game than people think. I mean, you go on a tough, I know Gary's been out there, got 40 mile an hour wind, you out there struggling to fight. I mean, you just got to be on your A game every day.
Do you guys think that guys should start out in the co-angling side before they jump into the pro side? Gary?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to learn. I mean, it's a great way to see, especially if you haven't been to all the lakes and just how things lay out. And, because like I said, I mean, being from California, I mean, it's like they've got everything. I mean, it's the Delta, California, so they have tidal waters, they have natural lakes, they have, all kinds of systems that you kind of get well-rounded. But, you coming back east, things are still different. I mean, it's fishing's different. So yeah, absolutely. It doesn't hurt at all to kind of jump in as a co-angler just to learn. And like I said, you learn something from everybody, you know what I mean? And then what you need to do is just take what works for you and kind of incorporate it in your game, because not everything is going to be, kind of fit your style, I guess, if you want to say. And so, yeah, you just take bits and pieces. And like I said, you learn from everything. You learn every day. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, if you don't, then, things are just going to pass you by if you're not out there learning learning new things every day.
I completely agree. Rob, what would you have to say?
Yeah, kind of same lines. I mean, you just learn so much, just being the guys, see how they, manage their time and how they do stuff. Another thing I'd recommend is if somebody's kind of on the edge on co-angling, go in as a marshal. Do a marshal like for the Major League Fishing or Bass Opens. I've done co-anglers on the Bass Opens, and on the final day, they don't have co-anglers anymore, so I go in as a marshal. And sometimes if you're a marshal, you don't have to worry about catching fish. You can just concentrate on what your boater's doing. So that's another good avenue. You're kind of on the edge thinking about doing it. So that's definitely a good option.
So what do you guys feel is the single most important aspect of co-angling? That's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the best thing to say is just to fish the moment. You have to have an open mind. I mean, it's because what happens when you're fishing as a co-angler, you're not going to get first cast. You're not going to get, what I mean? So what you have usually is small windows of opportunity. So, I mean, you could fish an 8-hour day, but, really, you may only have half an hour of real prime fishing time, where things, what I mean? Throughout the day, you'll have 5 minutes here, you know what I mean? So you
Yes.
have to be ready for whatever because like I said, I mean, there are times where guys fish and, and it's not against you. It's just the way, you know what I mean? The guys at the front of the boat need to do what they need to do to catch fish. So whether that means hugging the bank, getting you on a bluff wall, it's just the way it is, so it's not their job to worry, so much about, Rob or me in the back, or, you know what I mean? How are they going to have it isn't. It's their job is to catch their fish the best way they know how. So sometimes, you get in situations which aren't very good, but that's just part of it, fishing out of the back of the boat. So you have to be ready at all times. So like I said, you might just have a 5-minute window of opportunity, and if you make good on that, you might catch a couple fish. And like Rob and I were talking about earlier, one fish makes a huge big difference in a day, so you just got to stay focused. And like Marv said, it's a mind game. You have to stay focused throughout the day. And sometimes, when things aren't going good, or they got, like I said, they're in not really ideal conditions, and you just gotta keep fishing hard and wait for your opportunity.
Wow. Rob?
Yeah, I'm with Gary. One thing I'd add to it is fish your confidence. I mean, whatever you got confidence in, if it's a jig or a drop shot, don't go out and try, everybody's fishing, 10-inch, swim baits. Don't try anything new. Stick with what you're confident in. Stick with stick with your confidence baits. That helps a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I was given that piece of advice by the first tournament I ever fished as a co. Everybody's throwing frogs. I threw a frog because I thought I was supposed to. And then the pro looked at me and says, "You don't really fish frogs, do you?" I said, How could you tell? He goes, "Well, you're not using it confidently. What is your strength?" And I said, "Wacky rigging." He said, "Man, look at this. You got duckweed, 3 feet of open water, and underneath it is coontail. What do you think you should be using?" Sounds perfect for a wacky rig. Man, first cast, I got my first fish. Just what you guys said, man. Fish what you got confidence in. You're gonna fish it harder. That's what I always tell people. If you have 5 lures that you know how to use perfectly, you're much better than 90% of the fishermen out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, momentum too. I mean, when you get confidence bait, you get a bite or two, that momentum just starts rolling. I mean, it's hard to explain, but Gary knows, man. You get a bite or two, just like a puzzle, just starts going into place.
Plus, if you fish like Rob was saying, that your strengths, all the nuances of the bait too.
Yes.
Right? I mean, because it's not like, like I said, whether, it depends, like I said, even a frog. I mean, people work frogs all different kinds of ways. So, you know what I mean? If you're confident in that bait, you kind of know the nuances of the bait, right? So you'll fish it, like Rob said, you fish it more confidently. So you're going to fish it better, right? I mean, how many times have you been out fishing where you don't feel confident? You're just kind of going through the motions. You know what I mean? And, oh, that was a bite. I missed it. I mean, I wasn't, you know what I mean?
I didn't think I was going to get a bite.
Yeah, exactly. I better put my sandwich down.
Yeah. For those of you guys tuning in who don't know, Gary, in my opinion, Gary is the winningest co-angler that I know of. And he has done extraordinarily well on the circuits as a co-angler. I want to ask both of you guys this. Do either of you have any aspirations of going over to the boater side?
For me, at this point, no. I mean, I got into bass fishing actually kind of late. So it's not like I'm not a young man, you know what I mean? So it'd be different if I was young, like Rob, in my 20s, and you know what I mean? I'm not going to try to make a career out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm at the point in my life where, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but I would need some financial help to do that. But like I said, it's not like I said, it's not like I'm going to try to make a career out of it at this stage in my life. And like I said, I kind of got into it kind of late in life as far as the fishing went. So yeah, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing and just happy. I mean, like I said, I just want to go out and have a good time, and I love the camaraderie, and it's just fun to me. Like I said, it's not like I'm trying to, I'm it's not going to be a career thing for me as far as with my age and stuff. So.
Okay, Rob.
Yeah, I'll obviously get in the front of the boat, but it's going to be a little while. But I want to do like regional, kind of maybe just stick in the southeast, and then kind of see where it goes from there. But I'm like Gary, I'm having too much fun learning every day. I mean, I just started fishing Toyota series this year, and man, it's just amazing how them guys are. I mean, it's a huge jump from BFLs to Toyota for sure.
Yeah, let somebody else pay an $800 boat note and plus insurance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll meet you there.
You know what, guys? I'm not cutting on the boaters, man. Yeah, I'm jealous. I wish I had a 21-foot Phoenix with a 250 on the back. Oh, that is just ultimately cool. And every time I jump into a boat like that, I think about the Triton I used to have, and it's just such a cool boat, man. I have to tell you though, guys, man, this is just. Oh, we have a diehard anglers just said you're doing a great job, Rob.
Diehard, that's my boy Jared.
Jared, okay.
Yep, Jared, good guy. Diehard Anglers, that's a new website coming out. Everybody needs to check out. It's it's just for anglers. It's going to have a bunch of neat stuff for your sponsors. And if you go travel, you can pull up a link and say what restaurants, what hotels in the area. So it's coming out soon. So y'all stay tuned.
Okay, that'll be cool. Gary, other than fishing, what do you like so much about co-angling?
I just like it because it's for me personally. I don't have to. I mean, I could just show up and fish. Basically, there's a lot of time. I don't even know what I do half the time, but I'm busy all the time. People ask me, "What do you do?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm busy all the time." So, to be like a boater, there's a lot more to it than just having a boat. You got to do a lot of research. You got to do a lot of there's just so much more to it. And it's like as it is now. I fish. I try to fish tournaments, but that's the only time I fish. I don't fun fish. If I don't fish a tournament, I'm not fishing. So if I fish a tournament this week and I don't fish for 3 weeks, I just don't. I wish I could fish more, but I just don't. It's just I guess just a lot of time, and it's a really big commitment for those boaters. Maps. There's just so much more before you ever go to the tournament that you would have to do, and. It just seems like I don't even have hardly enough time just to pack my stuff and go to the tournament, let alone do all that other stuff, So,
how about you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm kind of Gary, man. The camaraderie, the guys and the friends I've met and the boaters, they're, I see them at tournaments and, hey, how's it going? Just the camaraderie, the people you meet. I'm sure Gary's like me. I've never had a bad boater draw. Everybody, stays friendly. It's awesome. And the people you meet, just salt of the earth kind of people. It's, and I'm like Gary. It seems like the more I practice, conditions change so much. If I practice on Friday, tournaments on Saturday, it'd be like totally different. So I'll get a day of practice for my lucky, but I just kind of fish conditions. That's good. That's a good tip.
Gary, I got to tell you this. Rob Welsh was down in Kissimmee?
Yep.
Rob Welsh was down at Kissimmee, his first ever Bassmaster Open as a co. And he gets that text, and he's looking at it. He says, this can't be right. This is Gerald Swindle.
Yep.
G-Man. And he was sitting next to Mo Collins, and Mo's like, man, I've been fishing for 4 years, haven't gotten any of the big boys.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
And Gary, this question is for you. I am such a fan of Dual Realis. What is your favorite Dual Realis lure, or is that just not a fair question to you?
Oh boy, that's not a fair question, but golly.
Okay, what about let's talk about spin baits.
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned how to use the spy bait yet?
I have learned. I'm not an expert like Mr. Swinside, but Yeah, I have. I mean, and then I've really got to use it up north on the smallmouth and stuff, and they love that thing, and it's that's probably between that and I think their jerk baits are
Nice. Yes.
probably the two things that I've used the most out of them. Even though I use everything, but that's probably the two ones that you could use everywhere.
How about the new Apex line?
Oh, I forgot about that one. They're awesome. I mean, I love it. I mean, I've thrown it, fishing with people that have thrown, different type of rattle type baits and stuff, and they seem to like it more, better.
I was learning how to use a spin bait out in the marsh.
Mm-hmm.
Standing on the side of a bridge and casting out and pulling it against the current. And and I had all these speckled trout around it, and one of them, and every once in a while one would come up and grab it when I was just holding it there steady, and and then the current was making that spin.
Right.
Come on. Then I would jerk a little bit, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, about a 30-pound redfish came up and grabbed it.
Oh my gosh!
I'm using a medium action with 6-pound mono, and I played it for about 15, 20 minutes. It got out there because, the tide was changing, was racing back to the Gulf, and he took my spin bait. I was so mad. But then I was thinking, I had a good time with that fish for about 20 minutes. I got to feel him tug against the current, and I couldn't turn him, but,
Yeah, that's a big fish.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just I had a good time with that fish. I proved to myself, like we've been talking about, guys, it gave me confidence in the bait.
Right. Absolutely.
So much fun. And then that's what I love about being an outdoor communicator. I get to try stuff like that. I get to meet cool people like you two. And we get to spread good fishing information.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's just so cool about what we're doing right here with you. So, Rob, why don't you talk about your favorite baits?
I'm kind of an old school guy. I like the little finesse jig. And then, of course, I grew up fishing. Little finesse spinner bait.
Ooh.
1/4 ounce. I've won actually a big bass on the BFLs on that. It's just a little 1/4 ounce. It's actually a Tim Pose. But I like the old school baits. I'm kind of an old school guy. So that's probably my top two. And, of course, drop shot. You got a drop shot when you're fishing the back.
I have a drop shot.
But anybody that wants to go in the back of the boat, get good with spinning gear. I mean, get good on how to rig it up, cast it, maintain it. It's a must have.
Speaking of that, I got a new toy. This is like the coolest rod I've ever had, man. This is Grant's new Thin S, 6'6" medium.
Nice.
He sent this to me, and I held it, and I mean, I started shaking. I'm really that much of a fishing geek. Gary, if you haven't figured that out already, I love this stuff. It makes me. This is just one of the coolest, because you were talking about finesse drop shotting. I can't wait to get a drop shot on there. And I used to think you had to have 30 feet of water to drop shot. Now you guys have taught me, no, you don't.
No.
I can even do that down here, man.
Yep.
I can even do that down here, where 10 feet of water is deep.
Right.
Who was it? Bill Lowen was telling me yesterday that he thinks fish die. They drown in more than 10 feet of water.
Unless you're in Kentucky.
Unless you're in Kentucky, okay. Kentucky fish are tough.
Yeah. And deep.
And deep. That's funny. That's funny, guys.
So what now brings me a question. What's the deepest you ever caught a bass?
Me? I caught one in 25 feet one time at the bottom of a riprap shoreline drop shot.
I think I did 30, 35 foot on Cumberland one time, doing a spoon.
Now we talk to Gary.
I caught one at 100 feet.
Wow. Gary, I gotta ask you, was he dead when you brought him up?
I took my time. I was gentle with him.
Okay.
It was at Lake Shasta. It was just a small spotted bass. And I just want to see if I catch anything that deep. And I did. And it's just like, well, why would I fish 100 feet when I catch the same fish at 10? But I just, just wanted to try.
You just wanted to prove to yourself you could do it. I like it.
Yeah.
But like you said, things are different over there in California.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Okay, Diehard Angler says he caught one in 65 feet of water.
Oh, there you go.
And also, Diehard Anglers, thank you for sharing this. I appreciate that, guy. That's really nice of you. So, Gary, you were talking about fish your strengths. What would you consider to be your strengths?
I don't know if I have a strength. I mean, I feel like I could do a lot of different things. Not, I wouldn't say great, but I mean, I'm able to do, and that's what I'm saying, like back home, fishing all these tidal rivers or natural, lakes, or, you know what I mean? And just all these different things. You fish so many different things. And then, now fishing back east and up north. I mean, I kind of fish a little bit of everything. And for me, it's just, me personally, it's just a matter of what's the best bait they're biting on. I mean, because
sure,
like I said, like Rob said, but if you don't have confidence in those baits, and that's why I guess time on the water would be important too, because you know what I mean. It
absolutely.
Like you're saying, if you don't know the nuances of the bait, and you're just like, oh, the guy I'm fishing with's catching them on a spinner bait, and I never throw a spinner bait. I'm just I wing it out there, and a lot of these baits, these people, spinner baits, swim, they're not just cast out and wind. I mean,
No.
you know what I mean? There's nuances to the bait. So, again, I just think, for me personally, I mean, I'm not saying I'm great at all the things, but I've fished a lot of different styles, so I'm comfortable fishing different styles. So just I don't really want to have a favorite.
Well, what I got from that is your strength is in you have strength and versatility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think that's
fair to say.
Yes.
No, Gary's strength is cashing checks. I see.
That's a good one. And I agree. I think last time we talked, Gary said one time he cashed a check in a tournament when he only got to fish like 20 minutes out of the entire day.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I say you have to be, because I mean, like, that happened to be a very tough tournament, but I mean, still, I mean, it very easily could have went, I mean, it's like, I see people just like, oh, I'm, he's got me on the bank or whatever. Instead of fishing, they just sit down. They don't even fish. I mean, all it takes is, you're not going to catch a fish if your line's not in the water. So, and like I said, I mean, it is tough sometimes. It's like I said, you fish an 8-hour day and you've felt like you only fished like 20 minutes of good water, and a good, but if you can catch a fish in that 20 minutes, it might make a difference if it's a tough bite. You know what I mean? Even if it was,
absolutely,
even if you had like you're just fishing in a wide open, you can fan cast anywhere. It's the same. You know what I mean? You just got to catch a fish. And like I said, and most of these tournaments, especially like back east, they're they're usually grinds. So you're not catching a lot of fish. So, you have to have that mindset that, you just got to be ready. And when the opportunity comes, hopefully you make the right decision and get a fish. And like Rob was saying, I mean, one fish in a day makes a big, so if you can figure something out and catch maybe 3 or 4 or even a limit, I mean, that's usually pretty good.
And Diehard Anglers agrees with you, Gary. I agree with you too. And last time you were here, you talked about respecting your boater. Could you address that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I hear all these stories about, the guy, the boater gets a bite and misses it, and the guy pitches in there and catches it. I mean, you don't need to do that kind of stuff. I mean, and the thing is, when you do something like that, I mean, it makes for a long day because you're just going to be butting heads after that, right? I mean, you show them some respect, and they'll show you respect. So, I mean, and like I said, I don't know. I mean, I wish they had because like I said, sometimes people do that, what I just said, and then they all think, oh, darn cool English. They're all, what I mean, which they're not, what I mean? So, one guy spoils it for everybody else, but the main thing is just be respectful. I mean, you don't need to cast anywhere near the guy to catch fish. You just have to figure out how to catch the fish, right? I mean, because like I said, you're not going to get first cast on anything, so you have to figure out ways that you can kind of catch maybe a fish behind somebody. And you don't need to do that by casting on top of them.
It sounds to me like co-angling is an art form. It's more of an art than a science. You have to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
and like you guys were saying, think outside the box.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I go along with Gary. Plus the teamwork. I mean, you're a team. I mean, you got different weights, but still you want to, help the boater out any way you can. I've had a lot of boaters, like one guy be fishing top water, he'll be fish off, say, "Hey, catch where I was just at," But if you communicate well and get along with your boater, and just help him out any way you can, respect his boat just like you would your own, or it makes for a good day. And I've heard horror stories about co-anglers, but usually seem like on this, and I don't know about Gary, but a lot of guys talk, and they kind of know the guys that respect your stuff, fish well with you, and guys that kind of have horror stories, kind of around. It's kind of a tight knit family for sure. In these,
right.
And Die Hard Angler just told us that co-angling is not for the faint of heart. You've got to be a die-hard angler.
Yep,
I agree. But that's also the boater side too, because if you got that $1,500 just for the entry fee plus your insurance and your gas and hotel bill, geez.
Yep.
Then you get there and it's going to be, it's 30 degrees colder today than it was yesterday.
Yep.
And the wind's whipping, and boy, yeah, you got to be a diehard angler just to want to launch the boat on a day like that.
Yeah. Tough. I've had tournaments where I know Gary's fished at Ohio River. I've caught one fish one day and missed a check by a couple ounces on one fish. It's Ohio River is probably about the toughest I've ever fished, but you just got to keep grinding. I'm like Gary. I see guys give up an hour or two before weigh-in. I've caught keepers within 5 or 10 minutes of weigh-in. Saved my day. And quick story on my BFL. I think I was 46 in points going to super tournament. Is on Barron River, and it was a tough day. And right at the end of the day, I think the last 30 minutes, I caught one keeper, and I was 46, and it jumped me into 45th, and I made the regional. So
awesome. Awesome.
Yep, you got to keep your head down and grind.
Absolutely.
Gary, do you have a favorite memory as a co-angler?
Oh gosh. Well, good memories are the ones where you win.
Yeah, of course. Of course. How many times has that been, Gary?
Not many. I think probably, in the larger tournaments, probably four of them. And that's, a lot of seconds, thirds. And that's what I'm saying. One fish is just such a huge deal. I don't know how many seconds and thirds and stuff I've gotten, but it's just like I said, it all boils down to ounces. It could be just one lost fish or, whatever, and that's why I said it's just so difficult. It's really difficult to win. It really is. It's just, seems like everything has to go perfect for you to win. But yeah, those are always good memories.
Of course. How about you, Rob?
I guess my first BFL in 2017, I was fishing actually Dale Hollow, and first BFL I was in, I had a good boater, and it was 39. It was spitting snow and ice, and go back to this creek, and I'm flipping a jig, and flip the jig out, and I get a loop in my line, so I'm getting the loop out. Hey, fish on. And it's like, okay, they want a jig dead stick. Then 3 casts later, I caught a 5-6. I had 3 fish, got the big fish, and finished 5th. So
awesome.
I guess
wow,
first one and getting that was that got me hooked.
That's awesome.
I bet that it only takes one, son. That was an expensive fish. It got you hooked on this.
I was blessed that day.
Most expensive fish you ever caught.
I had 3 bites and landed all 3. So you know how that goes. You'll do that. I don't know about Gary, but I'll have 5 bites, land all 5 next. I'll have 6 bites and land 3. So
yep.
Well,
now you're addicted. You know what they say? The first shot of heroin is always free.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just, man, and I completely believe that this kind of stuff is an addiction, but I've met so many cool people through fishing. I've had like Gary, I have so many fond memories. If somebody asks me what's your favorite memory in fishing, I'm going to say the first time I saw my son catch a fish.
Yep.
But I asked him in tournaments, so But yeah, this is such a Gary. It's such an honor to have you on this show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jay.
You know,
And with Rob.
Dual Realis Pro guy who's won numerous tournaments, been second, third, fourth, fifth. It's just such an honor to have you on. And Rob, you know, you've been on my show so many times, and it's just you're a pleasure to have on every single time I've had you on.
Man, I enjoy it, man. I mean, I'm like Gary. I could talk fishing all night. I mean, if you let me.
Oh yeah, that's why I called the show "Let's Talk Fishing."
Yeah.
Because I definitely get to talk fishing a lot more than I get to go.
Yeah. I give Gary props, man. He's one of the true gentlemen in sports. I mean, he represents the sport well. He's a real gentleman, and one of the great guys on the tour.
Appreciate that, Rob. Thank you.
All right.
Gary, do you have any shout outs you'd like to do?
Yeah, I mean, just obviously my sponsors have really helped me along, you know, Dual Realis, Iowa, Yamamoto, Bates. I mean, without them, I couldn't do this. And so, yeah, I've been very blessed and very thankful for all my sponsors.
That's great. That's great. You know, you started naming those off. That's an all-star cast right there.
That's awesome.
And how about you, Rob?
Well, of course, Vector Hooks. I've been with him. I think from the get go, but
from the very beginning of Vector, yeah.
Oh yeah, I met a bunch of great friends being with Vector, FX rods, Vicious fluorocarbon. Now with Upriver rod covers. They got some great rod covers, neoprene. They do float. I found that
That's interesting.
Float, but they hold up real well. They don't stick. Hooks don't stick to them, but I know it's kind of opposite. Freaks me out when I'm.
I know. Know.
But Liquid Mayhem, of course, Fishing for Autism. My man MC. I try to help him out every way I can. Of course, diehard anglers. You'll see a lot more from them coming up. Yeti coolers, Crusher lures, and I just actually got on with Revital Outdoors. So if anybody wants some premium CBD products, hit me up. Got a coupon y'all can use.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I'd like to thank both of you guys for coming on the show. And also I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. And with that, guys, have a great weekend.
Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rob.
All right.
All right.